Some trainees think that the SCA exam is an exam where you need to be doing a lot of cases, but I've seen GP trainees who practice hundreds of cases, but they're still not improving. If you're doing too many cases, it is going to affect your performance because then you're focusing too much on the quantity, but the quality is not there. And in some cases, it would be wise for you to reduce the amount of cases you're doing and then focus on the quality. I give you an example. If you think about if you're learning to drive, you don't need to drive through every road to be a good driver, but you're learning the skills, you're developing your behavior such that regardless of where you're going to drive, you can still drive. So it's not about you having to do so many cases, but it's about how well you're doing these cases, especially if your exam is in March, you have limited time. And this is where, when you're revising, it's important that you keep a log of the cases that you're doing, and then you can actually reflect on these cases such that in a week time you can come back to it and see whether that pattern of behavior has been fixed or this is becoming a recurrent pattern of behavior and you keep doing this for every case. For example, let's say for breaking bad news, you seem to be too doctor centered and you're pushing the doctor's agenda, but you're missing the psychosocial, you're not readdressing the patient's ideas, concern, expectation. And this is a pattern of behavior that you will see when you read through the case log. And then that way you can go back and fix it. So how do you fix it? First, you need to audit the consultation. And this is where you have to go through this 3 steps cycle, which is 3 hours breakthrough. So record, review, and reflect. So right now, I have encouraged some of you to record, review, and reflect. I know some of you are already doing it. I understand some of you might feel like you can't do it, or you're not sure how to do it, or um, you're too busy, right? And I want to encourage you to be actually prioritizing this because if you don't go through this 3 hours breakthrough, the problem is you might not actually identify this blind spot for yourself and fix them. So, for example, let me tell you, let's say if you're preparing for, you're going out for dinner. Before you go out, is it normal for you to check your face, how you look in front of the mirror, right? It's very natural for everyone to do it so that you can see how you're perceived. Now, if you're going for a very important exam, that is a licensing exam, and you've been practicing, you've been working hard, do you think it would be a good idea to have a look, how you sound before you actually sit the exam so that you can refine everything? It's really important that you do it. If you don't do it, then you're missing out on big learning opportunity. And I'll tell you what are these learning opportunities. So feel free to actually switch on your camera. It's going to be interactive and it's also good for me to be able to see your face and see the response I'm getting. Okay. So the first thing is when you're going through the record process, I'm saying you to record it because we are human being and we forget things. If we don't record things, how we recall it and how it happened, there is a gap. Okay. So when you record it, then you will have an objective, um, actual recording of what happened. Does that make sense? So it's not you thinking what was happening. Then the other thing is you're going to be able to see how you look on camera, because sometimes I've seen that some candidates, the way that they're presenting themselves is not really helpful because the first impression is not good. So, for example, let's say if you're going into a very important exam, your SC exam, and your camera position is like this, I'll show it to you now. So, do you see how the exam is going to look at you? They can't see your shoulder very well. They just see like this. And it's not a really good way because that tells them it doesn't look very professional. You all see the difference. Now, if I'm actually spending a lot of time reading on the case briefing when I'm speaking to the patient, so do you see the eye contact is not there because I'm looking down at the screen. And right now, maybe some of you are doing this without even knowing it. Whereas if I'm looking up when I'm speaking and I switch it like this, do you see the difference? How does it feel? It's really like night and day. And these small changes that you can make can help you to get more marks. Okay? So just by reviewing your recording, you will see these things that you might not be able to see right now. And when you see it for yourself, you will feel like, okay, I can't do this. Now, sometimes I'm seeing trainees, they've got the whiteboard, they're making note. So what they do, they look like this, they're talking. Like, how do you feel the patient will feel, right? You're spending more time doing this, it's not good. You're going to lose marking interpersonal skills, right? So in this program, we focus on these small details because some trainees have actually lost an exam because of half a mark. Okay. So these small details count. So when you're reviewing your recording, don't just review the recording like you're just watching a video. Okay. You need to review your recording with the goal that you want to identify new insights, new blind spots that you were not aware, or if you know there are some things that you need to be fixing, then you need to be looking specifically for that. So, for example, it could be my shared decision making. I want to focus on that. I want to work on that. Then what happens is that you don't have to review the whole consultation if you know that that's a problem, and if you're very busy, just go to the clinical management part and review that part and see how you're explaining it. Is it shared? And ideally, review your recording on the same day because then you'll be fresh in your mind and you would know what you're doing. If you wait for a week, the problem with that is that if you wait for a week, then by the time you're going to review it and make changes, you've already lost a week of how you would have implemented it. Whereas if somebody's reviewed it on the same day, the following day they're making the changes and they're going faster than you and they're going through that cycle more times. Does this make sense so far? So let's say in 1 week, I'm reviewing two recordings, one at the beginning of the week, one at the end of the week. I'm progressing twice as fast as somebody who's doing all the reviewing at the end of the week. So that's how you revise smarter. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So if you find you're struggling how to record, you can just record on your phone if it's a role play, it's not a real life patient. And let your study buddy know you're going to record it and switch on your camera video recording and put your phone in front of you and put it on yourself so you're reviewing recording yourself. Okay. The other thing when you're reviewing your recording is don't think like you know the doctor. Review the recording as if this doctor is stranger to you. You've never seen this face. You've never heard of this doctor. And as somebody who's um, new to this doctor, how do you think? Do you think this doctor is safe? Are they asking too many questions? Have you found the insights in this video useful so far? If so, you might be interested in SCA Blueprint. Just click the link down the description below and sign up and you will get a teaching from me every day for the next 7 days. They sound like they're going for a checklist, the way they're asking questions. Or maybe when they're explaining, they are using medical jargons, or maybe they did not readdress their eyes. And ask yourself, how would the patient feel in that situation? Ask yourself, if my mom was sick, would I feel like I could trust this doctor? So these are questions you want to ask yourself. And by doing the reviewing, then it's going to be more interesting for you and you're going to learn new perspective. Is this clear so far? All right. Now, if, for example, when you're reviewing it, let's say you're focusing on shared decision making, and you can see, all right, at 8 minutes, I say to the patient, you need to take this medication. Then you can see, obviously, this phrase does not sound shared at all. I'm actually telling the patient what to do. So pause the video or the recording and write down, so how would I phrase it differently next time? And actually write it down. So maybe instead of saying you need to do this or you need to do that, you could say, I would recommend that you take this medication, right? So by doing that process of correcting yourself when you're reviewing it, you're training your brain to deconstruct and learn these old behaviors and learn new behaviors. And in the beginning, it's tough, but if you do that consistently, you're going to embed the good practice. And on the exam day, you will have already actually embed that and it becomes natural for you to say the right way. Because what's happening here is when you're consulting, you know that if you don't do it well, you're going to have to write it down and you're training your brain to actually do it. And your brain will subconsciously want to do what's easy for you. And if you know that the easy thing is to correct, and so that you won't have to write it down later to autocorrect later, you would correct on the spot. So that's why I would recommend you do it. Now, when you reflect afterwards, you might see on a recording there's a lot of things you need to work on. Don't try to be too ambitious and say, I'm going to fix this, fix that. There's too many things. So, what you want to do is fix the most high impact blind spot. So, for example, if time management is an issue, you definitely want to fix the time management because that's a big problem that's going to affect your marketing clinical management. Okay. So, you want to be smart about what you're fixing first. Okay. Is this clear so far? Is this helpful?
Yes.
Yes, great. Any questions? Feel free to ask your question. There's no silly question. Just ask if you're not sure about something.
No, when you said to record and review it, so if you have a morning clinic and you've recorded everything, then do you review all the, because sometimes I feel overloaded.
Yes.
You have all these cases. Do I review everything or do I just review one and leave it at that?
If you have a morning clinic and you can see on your clinic list, there's patient coming in for HRT requests or coming in for like with a skin rash, you think that that could potentially be a good SCA case, then you record that. You don't need to record every case because that's not feasible to review everything. Okay. Remember, we're focusing on the quality, not the quantity. I don't think you will get much from reviewing the whole case of a clinic. It's too much. And a lot of the real life cases, they are not suitable for SCA. Okay. So pick the one that you will see is suitable for SCA and then that you think you might need to get some experience and that would be a good one for you.
Are you feeling anxious about the SCA preparation? Maybe you're not getting constructive feedback, you don't know whether you're doing the right thing. If you're looking for one-to-one support, I'd love to help you. Click the link down the description below to book a call with me to see how I can help you to pass your exam.
I would recommend everyone here to do at least 10 role plays a week where they are the doctor. Okay. If your exam is within 4 weeks from now, I would recommend to increase it to 12 role plays a week. And 12 role plays a week is not a lot because in a clinic session, you're doing possibly 10 or 12 cases a week. In a morning session or an afternoon session. And in the exam, you will have to do 12 stations. So if you're doing 12 in a week, that's not a lot. Some trainees would split it into 2 cases every day, and they have a day off. All right. So remember the 3 hours breakthrough: record, review, and reflect. And the process of doing this is going to make you a much better uh, GP, because you're going through that cycle. And if every day you go through the process, you're going to get better. And in a month time, you will have make so much progress. All right. So the last point is the SCA companion, which is a resource that you can use to keep a log of your cases so that you can revisit a case afterwards. So for those who might feel like your confidence is an issue, you're feeling more anxious as your exam approaches, you could revisit a case that you've done, let's say 3 weeks ago, and maybe you were not doing it very well, and redo it and see how you are doing it now, and compare your feedback points, the learning points, what you've missed. And if you can see there is an improvement in the pattern of the behaviors, then you can see an evidence for progress, and that will help to boost your confidence. If you see you're not making much progress, then that's still a good thing that you've done that case, because then you can identify this blind spot has not been fixed. So I need to focus on that. So that means you're going to be more informed. All right. So make sure that you're using the blueprint and focusing on the cycle, 3 hours breakthrough, keep track of your progress, and that's going to reinforce your competence and your confidence.